It is my view the interview was a major contribution to making my parents' relationship worse and has since hurt countless others.
August 8th, 2025. A single paparazzi photograph became Queen Camilla's biggest controversy in the last 26 years. At first, it looked like nothing more than another luxury holiday. Then, reporters identified the $40 million luxury yacht, its billionaire owner, and where King Charles was at the exact same time. Within hours, the story had spread everywhere. No laws were broken, and the trip wasn't illegal. But the timing was off. The photographs arrived just as William was preparing for a slimmer and less scandalous monarchy. So why did one photograph create such a political and royal storm? And why did it revive questions the palace thought it had buried nearly 3 decades ago? To understand why this photograph mattered, you have to go back to the moment Camilla became the most hated woman in Britain. The woman Britain refused to accept. By the end of 1997, Camilla wasn't just unpopular. She had become one of the most hated women in Britain. For years, she'd been blamed for the affair that broke Charles and Diana's marriage. After Diana died in August 1997, public anger exploded. Charles's approval rating fell to around 20%, and for millions of people, Camilla became the face of everything that had gone wrong inside the royal family. Even his own mother wasn't happy at first. According to biographer Tom Bower, when Charles told the Queen he planned to marry Camilla, she called her a wicked woman and said she'd never forgive her. Most people thought the relationship wouldn't survive, but Charles made the opposite decision. Instead of walking away, he decided to rebuild Camilla's image. He brought in a former public relations executive named Mark Bolland and gave him one of the hardest jobs in modern royal history. And it was to convince Britain to accept the woman who had destroyed the country's most famous marriage. There was no dramatic announcement or a televised interview, and the strategy worked because it was almost invisible. Camilla rarely answered criticism. Her public appearances were carefully planned. Each charity visit, each photograph, each event introduced her a little more, while the palace slowly shifted the public conversation away from the past. One of the biggest turning points came in January 1999, when Charles and Camilla were photographed leaving London's Ritz Hotel together after a private party. It was the first carefully managed public step in a campaign that lasted for years. The strategy paid off, and Charles and Camilla got married in 2005. In 2022, Queen Elizabeth II publicly expressed her wish that Camilla would one day be known as Queen Consort. And less than a year later, she was standing beside Charles as the Queen. It had taken nearly 26 years to change Britain's mind. Then, one summer threatened all of it. The yacht that changed everything, August 2025. Almost 2 years after becoming queen, Camilla found herself back in the kind of headline the palace had spent decades trying to avoid. The first photographs showed her relaxing aboard a luxury super yacht in the Mediterranean. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary summer holiday. Then, reporters started asking a simple question: whose yacht was it? The answer changed the story overnight. The yacht, Zenobia, belonged to Wafik Saeed, a Syrian-Saudi billionaire, longtime friend of the Parker Bowles family, and major Conservative Party donor. Decades earlier, his name had become closely associated with the Al Yamama arms deal, one of the biggest defense contracts in British history. As the story spread, Saeed confirmed that he had hosted Camilla and that their families had been close friends for more than 40 years. He described the trip as nothing more than a private holiday between old friends. No laws were broken, and that wasn't the problem. The problem was the timing. While Camilla was cruising through the Mediterranean with her children and grandchildren, King Charles was alone at Balmoral, continuing his cancer treatment. Former Liberal Democrat Minister Norman Baker called it not a good look. He argued that a senior royal should avoid accepting hospitality from a politically connected billionaire, and the controversy might have faded. But for a queen whose reputation had taken nearly 3 decades to rebuild, this was only the beginning. Within weeks, another headline would add even more fuel to the fire. The Summer of Scandals. If the yacht had been the only controversy of the summer, there's a good chance it would have faded from the headlines within a few days. Royal scandals come and go, and public attention usually moves on. But this time, it didn't. Just weeks earlier, the royal family's official social media account had posted a photograph of Camilla meeting author J.K. Rowling at the Palace of Holyrood House in Edinburgh. The event was meant to celebrate children's literacy. Instead, almost all the attention focused on the date. The post appeared on the final day of Pride Month, and because of Rowling's widely debated views on transgender issues, the palace suddenly found itself caught in a political and cultural debate it had never wanted to enter. The reaction was immediate. Critics called the timing insensitive, while actor Stephen Fry publicly questioned the decision, saying the meeting only hardens divisions around Rowling's views. Others defended the palace, arguing the event was about reading, not politics. But by then, the damage had already been done. Once again, the headlines weren't about Camilla's charity work. They were about another controversy. Then, royal watchers noticed something else. During a public walkabout that same summer, Camilla briefly stepped ahead of King Charles while greeting the crowd. The moment lasted only a few seconds, but commentators who closely followed royal protocol quickly pointed it out. It was a minor incident, but it became another example people added to the list. That was the real problem. It wasn't the yacht. It wasn't the Rowling meeting. It wasn't even the walkabout. It was the fact that, for the first time in years, separate headlines were starting to tell the same story. And that story was beginning to raise a much bigger question about Queen Camilla's status in the royal family. William's response. By the time the headlines reached the palace, William was already in a stronger position. Photographs of a royal family member enjoying a summer trip on a luxury yacht owned by a politically connected billionaire were something he would never allow in his monarchy. He called a secret meeting and almost stripped Camilla of her royal status. Some might call it his personal hatred toward the woman who broke up his parents' marriage, but reality had nothing to do with it. Long before the yacht controversy, the Prince of Wales had made it clear that he wanted to lead a slimmed-down monarchy, one that was more focused and far less willing to tolerate the kind of distractions that have repeatedly threatened the royal family over the past 3 decades. That's why the summer of 2025 attracted so much attention. For William, the issue was never simply what happened on the yacht, but what the episode could signal about the standards expected from the monarchy he may one day lead. The yacht didn't become controversial because it broke the law. It became controversial because it clashed with the image of discipline and restraint that William wants the monarchy to project. And the controversy revived a question that had been quietly growing for years. Is Camilla's reputation cracking again? For nearly 3 decades, Camilla's public image followed one clear direction. From one of Britain's most unpopular public figures in 1997 to Queen at the coronation in 2023. It was one of the greatest reputation recoveries in modern royal history, achieved through years of carefully managed public appearances, charitable work, and a gradual shift in public opinion. Then came the summer of 2025. The yacht photographs didn't erase everything that had been rebuilt. Camilla remains queen and continues to carry out official engagements, but they did significant damage to a reputation that had been rebuilt over nearly 30 years. They also raised questions about whether the monarchy can still afford controversies that once might have faded after only a few days. Because this story was never really about a luxury yacht, it was about 2 very different visions of the monarchy. One shaped by Charles, who hired a PR strategist to rebuild Camilla's public image. The other shaped by William, who is determined to create a no-nonsense monarchy. History will decide which vision defines the crown's next chapter. In the end, this story was never really about a luxury yacht. It was about whether Queen Camilla's carefully rebuilt reputation can survive in a monarchy that may have far less room for controversy than ever before. And only time will reveal what her place in that future truly looks like. So what do you think? Was the yacht controversy just another royal scandal, or did it reveal a deeper change inside the monarchy? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.